What is up, everybody? Thanks so much for listening to the Bearded Tog Podcast. It means so much to me. I've just had a lot of fun. I feel like our Instagram is growing with the show notes and people are interacting a little bit. And it's been really fun just to get to know a lot of you guys and what episodes you're listening to. And it's so funny that we'll get new listeners based on new episodes, usually with guests because they'll attract a few folks from their following. But then I'll post about an old episode and people are like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. So make sure that you go and look back. I think we have about 26, 27 episodes when this comes out. Listen to it. We have stuff on pricing, taxes. It's about to be tax season in a few months. So get prepared. And it's just really, really fun because my goal with this is just to make it a resource. That's all it is. It's just something you can have in your pocket and be like, oh, I wonder what another photographer thinks about this or what do they do? Because of me, we share the story in the first episode, but I didn't have that. I learned everything from YouTube. And so, yeah, I just want to make this a resource for you guys. And I'm so excited for these upcoming episodes. So today is really, really cool. We have a woman named Ashleigh Bing on, and she's just so sweet. And I've met her once, and she is a kind of person who just lights up the whole room. And when I met her, I saw her work and I was like, oh, she's great. She's awesome. And we become friends. And then she recently went through a rebrand and redid a bunch of different things in her business to kind of up her client experience game. And man, it is, I look at it every day and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I need to be doing this. She is so wise. And I think we'll get into this a little bit, but she did a shoot that got published in every major media outlet. And it's super adorable. And so we're going to talk to her about that and what's that like and does it affect your clientele and stuff like that. And it's so cool. So without any further ado, here's Ashleigh. Thanks so much. Ashleigh, how's it going?
Everything is everything over here, Adam. How are you?
I'm doing super well. Just recovering over some sickness, but it's all good. I think it's going to be a good weekend. Oh, well, it's been unseasonably warm in October this year, so your body's probably very confused. I know. It's super weird. It's like as much as I love spontaneity, I think it comes from having things in a secure place, and my health and expectations of how hot it is outside are I would like to be very consistent, and it has not been that way in DC. So
at all.
Yeah, so what's going on? What's your season like? I know October is busy for everybody. Tell me a little bit more about what's been going on.
Yeah, October is very, very busy. It is October 20th. Today is my dad's birthday. Happy birthday, Dad. I have four weddings left this season. I have one on Saturday, one November 4th, one December 10th, and the 16th. So, while everyone's winding down, I am still in full force, Adam, to be honest. But, I look forward to my slow season, January, February, and then it cranks right back up. So, this is something that I prayed for. I prayed for a busy season. I prayed for not just a busy season, but great clients, and I have them. So I don't ever want to sound like I'm complaining when I'm like, oh, I have to work Saturday. Oh, I have to work Sunday. This is something that I wanted and I worked hard to get. So I celebrate the fact that I have clients. So I can say that I have to work on Saturday or Sunday. So it's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know it's I always tell people when they're like, Adam, do you work a lot or what's your schedule like? And people don't realize how many hours you work more if you actually want to keep it up. But I say, I say I work 60 so I don't have to work 40, or I work 80 so I don't have to work 40. It's
absolutely. Absolutely.
And to make you feel better, you're in good company. A lot of the Bearded Tog guests all have a lot of weddings left over the season. I think I have 11 left. So we're.
Oh my God.
I know. It's this year. I feel like. I don't know if it was maybe it was just our turn. I had never shot more than 19 weddings in a year. And so this year I was like, okay, cool. Like, let's see if we can get 25. Like, I would love to get to 25. And that would feel good. And I've always wanted to be one of those people that shoots like 50 weddings a year just for fun.
Really?
I want to do it like 1 year. I just want to go nuts. So then my goal is 25. And then I ended up getting 37 this year.
Oh, wow.
And it's been so interesting, just the life management portion of it.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. And like, I just got married in March, and it's like, oh, what weekends are Adam available? And literally, like, we don't have a weekend off until Christmas, like until 2018, essentially. And I'm like, oh, that's not that fun. Or like back in the day, if you have Columbus Day off, it's like, oh, we get a long weekend. I'm like, oh, it's the same.
Yeah,
length.
no, that means nothing for us.
Yes. So it's a good problem to have. Like you said, like all my clients have been really good, and it's super fun because I know what I'm doing every weekend. It's like, all right, we're going to go in and we're going to make this awesome, and we're going to tell this story, and it's super fun. But September and October is always a little bit tough.
Very, very. And what I started doing, Adam, honestly, because I was so I'm engaged, and I'm trying to find, woohoo, hey, Brian, I'm trying to find ways to do that whole work-life balance, right? So then I thought about it, and like, I shoot all the time. My fiance works a 9 to 5. So on weekends, he's off. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe I will shoot my sessions, engagement session, branding sessions, Monday through Thursday. And then if I have a wedding on the weekend, then I shoot on the weekends, but I'm not going to shoot regular sessions on the weekend. So that really changed my schedule and my work-life balance a lot. It's totally worth it because, you figure people will take off work when they want to. If they need to go to the doctor's open during the week. They take off work to go to the doctor. So why would they not take off work to do a photo shoot?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I really thought about that, and it has changed everything. I started that probably in February of this year, and it made a big difference.
Yeah.
Big difference.
That's awesome. I do that too. I try to not do any engagement sessions or any sessions on the weekends. And this year I just couldn't. But a lot of times, sometimes I'll have a few couples that are like, hey, that's really tough. And especially in DC, like people are trying to make it in whatever job they have. Yeah. But kind of like you said, like, isn't an engagement session more fun than hanging with the doctor, Right. And it's like, this is only something we have to do once for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So tell me a little bit more about, I told the listeners a little bit about you as far as your awesome site and your awesome rebrand and how you've been featured a few times. And I want to talk a little bit more about like, how'd you get started and what's your vision for your brand? Like, what do you focus on right now? Okay.
So I got started in 2011. And when I started full time, which is very crazy. In 2011, I had a job at a company that I really did not care for. I won't say the company was awful, but my position I didn't care for. It was in sales, and I'm not a salesperson. My father was in sales when I was growing up, and I could tell how stressed it made him. Like when he made his numbers, when he didn't make his numbers, you could make 170% of your quota one month. And if you don't make 100% the next month, they're like, what have you done for me lately? Mm-hmm. So that was never something I wanted to get into, but I found myself in this job and they laid me off. Mostly because I was not good at it. I was not good at it because I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. So it made sense. But when my manager called me in and she's like, Ash, I love you, but I was like, I know. Wah! And I kind of left there thinking like, how am I going to pay my bills? And I had just purchased a camera, and it was a very, very low bottom of the barrel camera. It was a Nikon D3100. It wasn't anything that I ever planned on making money off of. I just bought a camera because I liked taking pictures. I never thought I was going to choose this as a profession. So I said, okay, Ashleigh, what do you like to do? How are you going to make money without going to work for somebody else? Then I looked at my camera. I said, okay, well, let's just try this. And my mom has an in-home daycare. And I said, okay, well, Mom, I'm going to talk to the parents and I'm going to ask them, how they feel about me taking their family photos. So I reached out to the parents and I said, okay, well, I just got this new camera and I'm trying to figure out, one, how to work my camera, and two, how to work with people with my camera. So a lot of them would say, oh, okay, we'd love to do a shoot. And some would say, oh, on Saturday, we're so busy. We have soccer practice and baseball practice and ballet and all these other things that people do on the weekend that I wouldn't know about because I work. But, people do things on the weekend. And sometimes if you're not established, they're not really trying to take time away from that to give it to you. And I understood that, but I was doing it for free. So, a couple years later, they would say, oh, Ashleigh, remember how you said you would do some photos for us? I'm like, yeah, how you been? They're like, great. Well, we're ready to do them on Saturday if we can. And I'm like, oh, well, let me go back to my calendar. So now I'm like flipping pages. I'm like, oh, no, I got something that day, got something this day, got something that day. And then I gave them the price, which wasn't free anymore because now it's 2 years later.
That's right. Preach.
It's like, I have to... everybody else lives. They go to work, they get paid. They know they're going to get paid every 2 weeks. They have their benefits, their taxes taken out, all these things. But as an entrepreneur, it's very hard to maintain a lifestyle when you don't ever know what you're going to get and when you're going to get it.
Yeah.
So every time you work, after that job is done, you've lost that job and you're interviewing for the next job every time you work. So every time I shoot a wedding, I am shooting my wedding for my client, but I'm also shooting this wedding as I am auditioning for another wedding because I don't know who's in this audience. I don't know who's watching me and saying, oh, I have a wedding coming up. I like how this photographer is working the room. I like how this photographer is speaking to people. You never know who's watching you. And you always have to be interviewing for your next gig, if you will, while you're in the middle of the first one. So I just got into it because I got laid off of something, and thank God, because it was a blessing in disguise. I don't know that I would have ever pushed myself to go full time, because once you're in a job and you have a hobby, as they call it, you're comfortable in your job and you're like, oh, this pays the bills. I know what I'm going to get. I can pay my mortgage. I can pay my car note. I'm super comfortable. All my photography money is extra income. And that wasn't the case for me. It was like feast or famine. And, my parents were gracious enough to, at the time, not charge me any rent to be in their house. So that kind of worked out in my favor, too. But I just figured it out and I kept with it. It was very hard. It's still hard. It's never easy. People look at life on Instagram, and Instagram is a highlight reel. And they'll say, oh, you're taking pictures. You're getting paid to take pictures. It's like taking photos. That's the fun part of it. They don't see the client management and the emails and the consultations and the driving and the scouting, just the contracts. There are so many moving parts that people don't see, and they assume entrepreneurial life is, this great thing. And it is, don't get me wrong, but they don't see the back end, and it's really not for everyone. They say if you can make it past the 5-year point, then you're good. And I'm going into year 7. So I feel very comfortable in this career path. And I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I love, love, love my job. I get to meet new people every day in all different walks of life, all different ages. And it's just, I wouldn't trade it for anything, Adam, to be honest.
Yeah, I love that. Well, congratulations on hitting the 7-year mark. That's
Thank you.
That's incredible. And at the same time, too, it's like, yeah, there's so much to that. One, it's always so sad, but I don't know if you experience this, but I do enjoy the feeling of folks who, and this doesn't happen to me anymore, because I feel like people, they understand, but when you first got started to like a year or two later, at first you're like, hey, I'll shoot anything. Like my first paid photo shoot was $20 for a guy trying to get a new Facebook profile picture to impress a girl he liked. And it's, I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds great. And, down the road, I would shoot all these things for free. And down the road, it's folks are like, hey, so what's your price range? Or, hey, or a lot of people still think you shoot for free, know? And even for folks like us, and I've been shooting weddings for 4 years, and 2 years full time, and people still ask me, people who are friends with me on Facebook, people who I've worked with in corporate jobs, and they're like, hey, so you still doing that wedding thing? And I'm like,
oh gosh, I hate when they try to like downplay it. Like, oh, how is that little wedding thing going?
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's very big, actually. It's very big.
Tell them, Ashleigh. Yeah. I try so hard. I feel like it's just a test for me of like, Adam, you can either be humble or you can be a jerk right now. And I'm just like, it's going really well. It's going really well.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. I'm just like,
I'm maintaining.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. I always use this analogy on the podcast of like a plumber, which I think is hilarious. But like, if our friend was a plumber, we wouldn't be like, hey, how's that plumbing thing going? Like, no, that's his job. That's like his profession or her profession. Like, you know, I don't know. Like there's something about photography that I think folks, I don't want to say disrespect it per se. And I usually don't mind. I don't mind the fact that everybody has access to a cell phone camera or anything like that. I love that. Like people like photos more. But yeah, there's something about it. Like we haven't gotten this way to acknowledging professionals in the creative industry like we acknowledge other people. You know, like if somebody said, hey, I'm a marketing expert, even that I feel like comes with some you know, some weight, some respect to it. But like we're marketing experts for people's families and their legacy. And so maybe we should just start saying that we're not photographers, we're marketing experts.
I think so, because, and I think the disconnect with the whole professional aspect is, you know, now they make it so easy for someone to take a picture.
Yeah.
There's a camera on your cell phone. You can buy a point and shoot camera. There are the Polaroid cameras. It's like, it's just so, to them, it's okay. I can click a button and take a photo too. Like that. There's nothing special about that.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, oh, how's that little photography thing going?
Yeah. Totally. I love that. I just want to, I try not to downplay it at all, but I could definitely, I know a lot of people can resonate with the idea that it doesn't feel fun. Yeah. Also too, people don't recognize, we talk about, I have this theory called the iceberg theory, and it's like 10% of, you know, the top is what people see, but then people don't see the other 90, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, I don't want to get too crazy on that. I'm glad that things are going well for you, and it's awesome. Tell me a little bit more, like, what are you shooting right now? You got a few weddings left. Like, I did see, so we're going to talk about this on Instagram the other day, which I'll link in the show notes. You're hustling on some boudoir, and and I've never shot boudoir or anything like that, and I don't have any plans to, but I love when I do see it nowadays from the photographers I love, like you, like, it just looks so much different than what it used to look like years ago. Tell me a little bit more about that shoot. Like, how'd it go? What are you thinking about? What's going on?
All right. So I got an interest in boudoir photography a little while ago. I'll say a couple of years ago, but I never really pursued it. And I reached out to a couple of my friends back in the day, and I said, oh, you know, I want to do some boudoir. And I got two of my friends, and I took them to a hotel and I took some shots. But this was also very early in my career, and I hadn't really, you know, sharpened my skills too much. So I could use a couple of the photos, but not too many. So then I thought back on it and I said, okay, you know, I really want to get back into that boudoir. And I reached out to some friends again, because, you know, as I'm building my portfolio on boudoir, I like to reach out to people that support me. And they come through, and I wasn't very sure, because boudoir, it's kind of taboo, if you will, because people think of boudoir as always having a lace thong and no bra, and it sounds very risque, and it doesn't have to be. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. I had 8 of my friends come over, and they all brought different ideas, and we talked through the ideas beforehand. So I said, okay, you know, if you want to feel more sexy, by all means, if you want to bring a lace teddy, I'm here for it. But if you want to have an oversized sweater with some knee-high socks and just the sweater hanging off your shoulder, I'm also here for that. I want to market it more towards women who aren't 100% comfortable with their body, because as women, we change often and very quickly, especially if we have children. Your body might look like this one year, next month or year or day or week, it might look totally different. So it's all about celebrating honest womanhood and, you know, exploring and being excited about the curves that you have. We're all shaped very differently. Some of us are straight up and down. Some of us are curvier than others. Some of us more round. So it's like, no matter what your shape or size, there is something sexy about you. And what is it? It might be your shoulders. It might be your eyes. It might be your legs. Everybody likes something different. So I'm trying to explore honest womanhood and say, okay, what makes you feel sexy? What is the part that you like most? All right, well, let's showcase that. It doesn't have to be about, always being in a bedroom and tooting your butt up for a camera. And, and that's how people see it. And boudoir photography can be for a significant other, but it can also be for you. Like, is it your birthday? Are you celebrating a milestone? Did you just get a new promotion? Did you get a new house? Did you lose some weight? What are the things that you're celebrating about yourself? And I had one client that I shot last year, and she gifted a boudoir album to her husband on their wedding day. So I thought that was very cool. Like, getting a watch on your wedding day, that's great, but you could buy yourself a watch. Getting an album from your wife on your wedding day is just something that you could never get for yourself. So I thought that was a very cool idea. And I just really want, to discuss it more with women, and hopefully we can make it a less of a taboo thing and more of a common thing.
Yeah, I love that. No, I heard this the other day, and I forget where it's from, so don't credit it on me, but it's, it's, and it's kind of cheesy and like definitely very, at least for me as a Christian, like it's very Christianese, but it's like when God made the mold for you, after he made you, he threw it out. There's only one of you, and no matter what size you are, where you're at. And I think for me, that's my big thing. Especially, I always get brides that are kind of like, hey, do you do retouching? Hey, do you do this? And I'm always like, I'm always trying to convince them, like, you are beautiful. Like, don't sell yourself short on this idea. And I could rant about like Pinterest ruining expectations.
Oh, gosh. My goodness. Yes.
But, it's like, I think about that. And then at the same time, I just think about, whether it's boudoir or whatever, it's just like, hey, here's what I looked like at this time. Like you said, I love the kind of like special occasion. I think people should have photo shoots often anyway, whether it's boudoir or just like, hey, you got to get your yearly portraits done, just like you did in school. Like, let's document. Like, we only document people's growth, like through years 1 through 12. And it's like, what about the things that are happening to us, as 20 and 30-year-olds? Like, what about the growth that's happening in your life? And if you get married, people see that. And so that's like a milestone. But what are the other chapters in people's lives? So I love that. I love that approach. I love that you're kind of taking that. And I think too, like, if anything makes women feel more powerful and loved and cared about and valued, like, I'm all for that. And as a husband, I mean, my wife doesn't listen to the podcast, but Sarah, what's up? Say hi to Ashleigh. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, Sarah.
Yeah, no, I think it's like, I love that as well, because you're right, especially nowadays, especially where we live in DC. Like, when it comes to time for gift giving, my love language is acts of service, and so as far as gifts and stuff like that, I'm like, I could buy something myself. Like, as a business owner, we buy what we want, especially little things. And, so I love that idea. I love that. That's really cool that I saw, like, you posted on your Instagram story, I guess it was a video, something that was, and it might not have been all of them, but that was really cool. It was very, I don't know. It was like, it was very stylized. I loved it. Like, it was very different and very cool. And so I was pumped for you to get into that, because I don't know.
Thank you. And I do want to shout out Pope Weddings. He helped me with that video. He did the video. Oh,
okay. Nice.
So yes, Pope Weddings. Thank you, brother. You are amazing. You're amazing. So
that's awesome.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's, I don't know. It was really cool. I feel like you can do like anything in photography. And so I was like, oh, Ashleigh's getting into this. This is awesome. But all right, cool. So I want to talk about, I have so much to talk to you about, because you're doing so much. And we met like a year ago, 2 years ago. I don't know, like a year ago.
Yeah, it was something like that.
And I was like, I just fell in love with you. I was like, this person, she needs to be my friend. Like, I was like, there's like, I was like, I look up to you. And I think there's things too where, there's, for folks listening, and for me, a lot of the things that I've been learning personally is, what is it like? So we're just going to talk about this stuff. Is like, I feel so silly talking. We're going here, Bearded Tog. We're going here. And Ashleigh's going to help us out and get there.
Oh gosh, I'm nervous.
No. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's totally good. Like for me, in our world, in America in 2017 right now, and I don't want to get too crazy, but like for me, I feel so pumped to have had the pleasure of photographing interracial and diverse couples. And for you, I feel like that is a lot of your marketel. I feel like you are a Black woman, a lovely Black woman, and like you're showing the side of the wedding industry that a lot of people don't see. Like when we think of Pinterest, like we see a nice blonde white woman and a nice young like G.I. Joe looking guy.
Yeah,
and I think for both of us, we both like photograph couples who don't fit that mold one way or the other, and I love that. Tell me a little bit more about. What's that experience like? Did you grow up going to weddings like that? Or, what's that kind of deal? I feel like your website is so good at just being like, especially in DC. In DC, it's like, hey, who's going to market to like everybody else? Who's going to market to the people who don't work in politics, if you will, or the people who are, I don't know. Tell me a little bit more.
So I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland, which is the wealthiest African-American county in America. I grew up with people that all look like me. So to me, that's what I saw. That's what I market to because that's who I am. Pinterest does not fit anything that is my reality. Like you said, it's blonde women at golden hour with G.I. Joe. That's not real. Pinterest is very stylized, if you will, and it's full of styled shoots. And, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not everybody's life.
Yeah.
So what you see on my website is a direct reflection of me. There are all types of people. I really enjoy international travel. So I do not fit into, I would say, a super mold, like just this one area. I have been traveling internationally since I was 16 years old. I'm on my second passport, which is almost full, and soon I'll have to get a third before that one even expires. So I just like to show that there's more to this world other than what you see in a Vogue magazine or a Cosmopolitan magazine, because while that might be the America that some people know, it's not the true America that really is. Yeah. Obviously. It's not real. It's very made up. So yeah, what you see on my site is my reality.
I love that. I mean, I think of it as, I'm doing my best to kind of step into that place because I just want to tell people's story, and I get tired of hearing kind of the same story. And so I love that. But speaking of your website, we're going to all different places today. Like I just want to talk to you about everything. So your website was recently done by Tiffany. We talked about that a little bit. Like, I have one question for you, though. Your website is gorgeous, and I know Tiffany helped out with that, and we'll talk about that in a second. You don't have a blog.
Yeah, no. So I don't have a blog.
In a world where people are like, hey, you got to blog it up. And I mean, I blog every week, and there are 300 blog posts on my site of just weddings and weddings and weddings and weddings and weddings and travel. Like, tell me a little bit more. Like, what was the process for that decision? Is that something you don't feel like you're great at? Does it make your site faster? Like, what's going on? Tell me a little bit more.
So a lot of people that I know that are photographers blog, and they say, oh, you got to blog this, blog that. And writing, while I think I'm okay at it, I'm good with short snippets. I'm not a writer. I am a very, very, very visual person, obviously, and words just sometimes they fail me. And you may not be able to tell based on this podcast because we're having a conversation. But if I'm just typing on a blank page, it's just like space bar, period. Okay, now 3 hours later and I don't have anything. So I was like, you know what? That's not my strong suit. So I don't want to focus too much time on trying to come up with words when I can just post photos and let the photos make you feel whatever type of way you're going to feel. So I get a lot of my business from Instagram. And with their the new feature where you can post multiple pictures without blowing up somebody's timeline, I really have leaned on that heavily, and every post that I do has at least 5 or 6 photos attached. So I'll put a caption that resonates with the photos, and I'll just let you feel however you feel. But blogging, it takes a lot of time, and a lot of time that I don't want to dedicate to writing, to be honest.
Yeah.
And everyone has a blog. And I'm like, look, that's not me. I'm not doing it.
I love that. I mean, seriously, like I'm looking at your Instagram right now, and like a lot of them, other than this really cute selfie, like a lot of them are all gallery posts. That's so smart. I love that. Yeah. And it's something too, like I always tell people, no matter what they get into, just to stick with it. And that's something you're like, hey, I'm going hard on this. Like it's working. Yeah. And I love that. That's so...
Yeah, a lot of people told me that I needed it. And I was like, I don't think I need it. I don't think I need it. And it's just, I feel like, it's something that everyone does. So the next person does it because everybody else does it. And it's like, no, that's not who I am. I don't want to say I'm not a follower because I don't want to call people who have blogs followers. But if I feel like it's not me, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, totally. I love that. I want to stop blogging right now. No, just kidding. I love that. No, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And it's not like you're not putting up a sneak peek per se. Like your clients are still pumped and you're driving them to the place where you feel most authentic, which is Instagram. Yeah. And like that's, I always say that my best clients have come from Instagram, and now I'm like, man, I need to just push everything there. Like if they're not on the blog.
Yeah, a lot. Because people are on Instagram every single day.
Oh yeah.
They're going to your blog every day.
Yeah, right.
And you may get a comment here or a like there on your blog, but it's like, okay, did 30 people see? I don't know. But I might get 400 likes or 30 comments on Instagram. So I know that people are seeing it and they're responding. Yeah. And even people who aren't responding are still seeing it.
Right.
So I know that they're seeing it right there. Right. And it's going to, your last blog post is going to say October 20th, 2017.
Yeah.
It's like, Adam hasn't blogged since October 20th.
Exactly. I'm just going to be like, all right, I'm done. No, I've been sick this week, so I haven't gotten out one of the weddings from this weekend, and I feel kind of bad, but I'm like, whatever. They're cool. So that's so funny. I need to fill in some gaps. You're full-time, right?
I am full-time. I've actually been full-time. In February, it will be 7 years.
Oh my God. You're such a hustler. Such a hustler. I was looking at your site, and I look at it I looked at it a lot when your parents got featured.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, man, Ashleigh's killing it. And I looked at it again today, and I'm just like, I'm about to call Tiffany right now and be like, hey, what's up?
Yeah. No, Tiffany, let me tell you about Tiffany. So Tiffany of the Emma Rose Agency is amazing. When I tell you that, I kind of had a vision for where I wanted to go with my company, and I couldn't really articulate it. I just threw some words out at her. I threw some moods, and she was like, okay, I got it. Because I couldn't tell her how I wanted it. And we went over this process, and she kind of dug deep into it, and she presented something that I could have never, ever, ever done myself. And with my whole rebrand, it really took my business to the next level, and I really, really owe it to her. She pretty much single-handedly changed my business with my branding, and everyone loves it. From men, women. It's not gender specific. It's not like flowers and calligraphy. Nothing against anybody who has that, but that's just not me. And she understood that, and she took it and she ran with it and just really completely changed my whole brand to something that I could have never done. And yeah, next level stuff. She's amazing. So if anyone ever gets the opportunity to work with her, the Emma Rose Agency, I really vouch for her full-heartedly.
That's awesome. I love that. I feel like there aren't a lot of, or at least I don't know many who do. I felt like she did the whole thing, and she does the whole thing for a lot of people. It's not just, hey, let's figure out your ideal client. Let's figure out your branding. We're going to have her on the podcast in a few weeks. Hopefully.
Yes, I hope so. I hope so.
But she also she hooked up your site and stuff,
Yeah, she did my website.
A lot of times, the branding folks, it's hard to be an expert in a lot of those things. And for her to kind of take that ball across the finish line, if you will, or across the goal line for you is that's really incredible. I only know a few agencies that can kind of do that whole thing, and it's so great because she knew your vision before, and you guys are friends. Like,
Yeah, we're friends.
And so I feel like your site is just, it's insane. Do you use like any client management software, like a CRM or anything like that?
I use HoneyBook.
Oh, nice.
I love HoneyBook. Hey, HoneyBook.
Sponsors welcome. What's up?
Sponsors welcome. And I made a good choice because I signed up during the founding members period. So thank you, HoneyBook, for that. It's amazing. It allows me to do all of my contracts, my send out proposals, all of my email thread, all through this one tool. So I don't have to say, oh, did somebody send me a Facebook message? Did they text me? Did they email me? You can't find stuff that way. And it's hard to be productive when you have information in all different places.
Yeah.
It's all in HoneyBook. And if somebody sends me a Facebook message, I kindly respond via HoneyBook. So it's like, oh, okay, maybe this is where we should be talking, instead of don't send me a Facebook message. But sometimes I want to be like, don't send me a Facebook message.
I set up the auto reply on my page the other day, where it's basically like, hey, thanks so much for the blah, blah, blah. Like, please go to the website. And you can kind of hack it. Like, it has smart fields in it now. So you can say like, hey, and then their first name. So it looks like we wrote it. And it's been so great because I don't want to be on Facebook Messenger. Like, I want you on my site or on Instagram. On Instagram, I would talk to anybody, but I'm just like, I don't even have the Facebook app on my phone because like it's a time distraction.
It is.
Yeah, that is so funny. That's awesome. Yeah, I've looked into HoneyBook a bunch, and I personally use this thing called ShootFlow, which is not bad. But it's been do you know Zach and Jody?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they built it, and it's pretty solid. I wrote a review about it on my site, but it's I don't know. I just feel like they're not keeping up with everybody else. And so I'm like about to change. And so I'm like, but I feel bad because I don't know. I support them.
Well, Adam, I could send you a code for like $50 off.
No.
Or it's a code for something. I can't remember exactly what it is.
It's all good. I don't know if HoneyBook can help me out. I've looked into it a little bit, and it wasn't as everything I needed. But anyway, that's so funny. I love that. That's awesome. I'm glad that I think people don't realize too, when you get to this many weddings, having your process like ironed out and
you have to.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Awesome. So, we're going everywhere. So this is like boudoir was like the most recent thing you've been hustling on, but before that, there was this thing that happened where you took a really cute session of your parents, right? Both your mom and dad. And when I saw the photos, I was like, this is adorable. Like, I don't even know these people and I want them on my wall. Like, it was just, the photos were so powerful to me. Not even the one of your mom crying. And then I saw that one and I was like, dang it, I'll take them all. I don't even know these people. I'll buy them. But what happened is you posted a video of their reaction to seeing those photos, and it like blew up. Like you have a press page on your site specifically for these. Tell me, walk me through that whole story, like the decision to make the shoot. How did you convince your parents? Were they down with it? Do they, your dad looked good in that suit. Like, what is, like, tell me a little bit more about that whole process.
Okay. The whole thing was a surprise for them. They had no idea. 38 years ago, my parents got married and they did not hire a wedding photographer. They had friends take photos with their 35 millimeter film cameras, but that wasn't the problem. The problem is when they put the film in the lab for processing, the lab burned down. So they never got a single wedding photo. I'm sorry, they got one wedding photo from someone else years later, and it had my cousin's arm like reaching through the photo. So they got one wedding photo. So after the lab burned down, they're like, oh, wow, I'll never see those photos. But to make matters worse, my mother's father died 2 weeks later. So they buried him in the suit that he walked my mom down the aisle in. So it's just, you get married and you're at the top of your emotion, right? You're super excited. You've married this man that you're madly in love with. So you go from that to not having your wedding photos. So you're already sad. And then your father dies. So it's like a spike chart. It goes up and it just plummets, right? So it's something that I wanted to do for them for years. And I would think about it and I would be super busy and then I wouldn't do it and their anniversary would come and go. So this year I said, you know what, Ashleigh, I don't care how busy you are. This is something that you have to make happen for your parents. So I told them their anniversary was July 7th, but I told them on June 17th, I just needed them to be available for me. That's all I said. And my mom, she's like, well, what are we doing? I'm like, that doesn't matter. Like, I need you to block this off on your schedule for me. Like, don't ask me any questions. So she's like, well, what do I need to wear? I'm like, oh my gosh, just woman, block it off your calendar. And my dad's just like, okay. And he just like went about his day. He blocked it off and didn't ask me any questions. So I said, okay, this is what I want to do. And I didn't want them to have to do anything. I did ask my mom to get her hair done. That's all she had to do. Get her hair done and get a manicure. So that really made her ask, well, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? I'm like, oh my gosh, you're getting on my nerves. We're not going to do anything in a minute. But I went to Rent the Runway and I ordered 2 dresses for her because my mom likes to show her shoulders. So I got some off the shoulder dress and one that's high in the front and low in the back because I know her style. I know my mom. I can choose dresses for her all day, but she's not a glitz and glam type of woman. She has an in-home daycare. So a lot of her days are spent in leggings and t-shirts. But I'm like, we're going to go all out for this shoot. So I got her 2 sequin gowns. My dad, that was already his tuxedo. I got him a bow tie though. And I got them matching Chucks. So I ordered the Chucks online. And the night before, I told my mom what we were doing because she had to be up at 5:30 in the morning because the makeup artist, Markia, was coming to the house. So, hey, Glam Key on Instagram. I'm always trying to shout out my people. So she was coming to the house at 5:30 and I need my mom to be ready. So I said, okay, Mom, this is what we're doing. So when I told her, she looked at me like, what? I don't think she really understood what was going on because I told her the night before at 11 o'clock. And she was like, girl, get out of my face. But when she woke up, I had the dresses laid out. I had a bouquet of flowers ready for her. Markia was downstairs with the makeup chair ready to do her makeup. So it was a big surprise. They had no idea. So fast forward, I took them to the National Cathedral and the Kennedy Center to take photos because I'm like, we're all dressed up. I want a nice background.
Yeah.
And I had my 9-year-old niece with me that day and she was my assistant. So she had a good time for all of probably 30 minutes and then she was ready to go back home. So she had a good time directing them. Then she was kind of over it. It was pretty humid that day. But anyway, so I edit the photos, right? And while I'm editing the photos, I start crying because I'm like, I can feel the emotion in the photos. And my parents are dancing and they're holding hands. They're doing a little nose to nose. They're kissing and all these different things. And, these are emotions that people normally have when they're about to get married. Like when they're fully super in love with their significant other or spouse to be. But, after you've been married for 38 years, you've gone through so many trials and tribulations, good times, bad times, times where you've probably wanted to punch each other, just all kind of different things. And for them to still be in love after all of that is really a story because now people don't stay married. It's really sad. Yeah. You'll get married, but the divorce rate is just as high as those that stay married. So, I did a video just on my phone because I wasn't thinking anything was going to happen of this video. I just did it for me, of me showing my parents the photos. So my mom was crying. My dad's like rubbing her shoulder, looking at her. He's crying. I'm crying. And it was just very emotional, not only for them, but for me as well.
Yeah.
And I think I had somebody this is what happened. I sent the images to Washingtonian. And I submit to Washingtonian all the time. And it's so funny, Adam, I'm going to jump back on what you said. Pinterest is full of blondes and G.I. Joes. And that's how I feel about Washingtonian. For the print, I never see people that look like me. And it really sucks because there are Black people that get married every day.
Right. Absolutely.
And Washington is made of Black people. I mean, it's changing a lot now. So it's changing a lot now. It's a new Washington.
Sure.
And it really sucks because I don't see anything that looks like me in a magazine that's supposed to target an area where I come from.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it really hurts my feelings. And I submit to them all the time and they say, oh, this is great. Please send more. We just featured something like this. And it's like, no, you didn't.
Right.
Because I haven't seen anybody that looks like me on your site or on your magazine.
Yeah.
But, I let it go and I submit somewhere else and they pick it up. They're like, oh, this is great. We love it. Keep sending. So I sent it to Washingtonian anyway. And Amy responded and she said, oh my gosh, Ashleigh, this is amazing. I have all the feels. Please tell me more. And I sent her like a write-up of everything that happened and the backstory of why I did it and how it was important to me to do it and not tell them about it until I was ready to kind of shoot the shots. And from the Washingtonian, somebody else reached out from ABC, and then somebody reached out from Today's Show and MSN and Yahoo, and it just really went viral. And I had no idea. I didn't do it for it to go viral. I did it because it meant something to me and my parents.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it touched so many other people in the process. So I just got goosebumps just talking about it. Like,
it's goosebump worthy. Like, seriously, like, folks, we'll link it in the show notes. Like, you gotta go look at it. And too, like, it got featured by so many different people. It was insane.
Yeah, it really did.
Like every day I was like, oh, it got featured here. And I follow a lot of like wedding stuff. And so I would even see it not in your feed. I would see it from other people. Yeah. And I'm like, dang it, Ashleigh, like this is such a good idea. And yeah, I love it too. And like, there's so much history too, of like parents who have raised their daughter in PG County, outside of DC. And I love that you kind of like called Washingtonian out and you're just like,
yeah, like it really hurt my feelings because I hate when people are like, oh, we just got something like this and featured it. Well, show me where you featured it because I don't see it at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's one thing. I don't submit anything. Like I recently hired somebody that submits weddings for me because I don't want to, like, I don't care about that stuff that much. Like I want to please my couples and make awesome stuff for that. And because of that stuff, like you said, like as a, and we're not trying to pick on Washingtonian. They obviously did a good.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
not at all.
Yeah, they wised up and they did something good. But it's like DC is called the Chocolate City. Like, and even though it's less than 50% African American now, it's like you got to represent the city. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. And I feel like, I mean, the photos speak for themselves. But both the parents, there's 38 years of love. You can tell in that. Like that photo shoot. And I've only done one or two photo shoots of couples who had already been married, and it's so different because that couple, they don't feel awkward with each other. They're together and they know like the cute Pinteresty kind of things that we might pose them as. It's something more, it's real. Like they've nuzzled before, they've cried before, they've gone through some hard stuff, they've gone through some good stuff, like you said. And I love that because it's a photo shoot. Like it just means a lot. And I love that. Like that's my main goal when I shoot. And obviously I'm really proud of you. And that's why we're having you on. Cause you're
thank you so much.
You're a stone cold killer with the photography. So, I don't know. Maybe it's a guy thing, but I ascribe like very violent things to my I'm like, oh, that person's a savage. Or like Caitlin James was on last week and I told her that she was the Beyonce of wedding photography. And I was just like, yeah, like, you can do anything you want. So I love that. That's awesome. Wow. Ashleigh, so good. I just want to like finish up, just kind of tell me a little bit more now, did that photo shoot, I feel like it did. I know the answer, but like, how did it fire you up for other couples and other stories and your business now, So, I just shot a wedding on October 7th and one of the bridesmaids, the maid of honor
was asking to see some of my work. So I handed her my phone so she could go through my Instagram because I was starting to shoot. So I couldn't talk too much. We could have a conversation, but I wanted to show her. So I said, oh, this is my Instagram. So she started scrolling down and she got to the photo or a couple of photos of my parents. And she was like, wait, these are your parents? I'm like, yeah. She's like, I saw this everywhere. I cried. I saw it on Inside Edition. And oh my gosh. And then she went to the bride. She said, Shelby, this is your photographer? Your photographer is a celebrity. And she just was going on and on. And of course, all I could do was laugh because I am such a behind the scenes person. I like attention, but not too much attention. And I don't like to be the center of attention. So when you asked me to do the podcast, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do it. But I was like, Ashleigh, put your big girl panties on and just do it. But I don't like to be the center of attention. And I have gotten a lot of attention since this happened. And a lot of people said, oh, now that you've been on Yahoo and MSN, have you raised your prices already? Oh, I can't afford you. You're going to raise your prices through the roof. And it's like, I'm not doing this so I can charge an arm and a leg. I have not changed my prices since I've gone viral. I want people to come to me because they want to shoot with me.
Yeah.
I don't want people to come to me because they're just looking for a photographer.
Right.
It's like, no, I want you to work with me because you want to work with me. You want to work with Ashleigh Bing and you want Ashleigh Bing to capture these memories for you.
Yeah.
So it's changed the amount of visitors that I have to my website and the excitement I think that other people have to meet me. But to me, I'm still me.
That's awesome.
I did photos of my parents just like I do photos for anybody else.
I love that.
It just went around differently. So, it's changed other people's perspective of me, if you will, but I'm still me.
That's awesome. I love that. And it's like if anything, if they've seen your parents' photos, they just know that you care about story, and
Yeah.
I love everything about it. It's so awesome. Ashleigh, we're so freaking proud of you, man.
Thank you.
Awesome. So Ashleigh, I'm going to link up your Instagram and everything in the show notes. And I just want to say thank you so much for being on. I know we are scatterbrained a little bit. We talked about a lot of stuff, but that's because you've been in the game for a while, for 7 years. And I feel like so many people can relate to you, and it's just stuff that we don't talk about a lot. And so I love that you shared openly, and you don't blog, which I love. And I love
yeah, do what's best for you. Don't worry about what anybody says otherwise. That's how I feel.
Yeah, exactly. Kill it, and I love that. And it's true. I imagine there's a lot less pressure on you to not blog, you're like, hey, I got this, I love that, that you're just kind of like, hey, I'm doing my own thing and it is what it is. So I love that. Ashleigh, thanks so much for being on.
Thank you so much, Adam, for having me.
What a cool episode with Ashleigh. She's just, we're everywhere on this episode, but she just has so much to say. And I love her insight just into, she didn't want to go viral with her parents' posts. She wanted to do something sweet and she wanted to do a story. And I think personal work is something you guys should definitely be doing and looking into. And, for a lot of photographers, that's our spouse, just taking cute photos of them. But we have to find what drives us and what is going to take us to the next level. And I love that she's unconventional. She doesn't blog. She's just doing her own thing. And, I want to let everybody know who's listening. And if you know this, if you listen to me, you don't have to use the same recipe as everybody else. I hate that the main analogy is there's many ways to skin a cat, but you don't have to use the same recipe, but you just have to make a few things are in order. Make sure you're getting clients, make sure your money is on tap, make sure it's good. But other than that, you don't have to use the same formula as everybody else. Do your thing. What's your best? What are you best at? I don't think I'm that good at writing, so my blogs are not as happy and go lucky. They're kind of I kind of run the same thing every week, and Ashleigh makes me not want to blog it. Oh, I just want to show the pictures, but it depends on what your strategy is. So I absolutely love that. Hey, if you could do me a favor, I would love if when this episode came out, if you could leave a review on iTunes. It would mean a lot. It really, really, really helps the show. And please, 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 please leave a review. And I would love to know what you thought of it. I read all of them. I read all of your DMs on Instagram, and I also answer all the questions that I get on Instagram. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.